All right, we are back. Morning Magazine continuing on. A busy morning. We're talking this morning now with weight loss coach Charles D'Angelo, formerly an obese teen. What? Now you're all pumped up and ready to go. How are you this morning?
I'm doing excellent.
Well, how did you go from a morbidly obese? Did I say that right? Morbidly obese. Yeah, morbidly obese teen to achieving. Well, I'm looking at your picture here. You're knocked out, buffed up, and all kinds of stuff. What's the deal?
Well, thank you so much. I'd like to say it's due to 3 miracle drugs. One being diet, the second drug being exercise, and the third one being a remarkable psychology. And that's what my book's all about promoting, is putting all those 3 pieces together. And I think that most everything else out there is lacking that third leg, and that is the mindset, how to really condition your mind so that you can go from being someone that's so far away from a healthy lifestyle to someone that really promotes themselves as being healthy, fit, energetic, and really contributing to the world in a great way.
Let's just set the stage here. You were bullied you were bullied because you were a 360-pound 17-year-old who started each day with 5 Pop-Tarts, a liter of soda, Chex Mix, a candy bar, and a big gulp. That'll kill you right there.
Exactly right. Well, I think that much of that was due to me feeling so inadequate with who I was. Growing up, I was always different than all the other younger boys. I never had a real interest in sports. I never really fit in. And when you don't fit in, kids look at a person that's different and kind of tease and jab at them, and that was very painful. I was a very empathetic, very sensitive kid. So I pulled back. But when you pull back from the group, what happens is the other kids then interpret that as you're rejecting them. So that only amplified the bullying and exacerbated it. So I pulled back even more. And then I found my best friend, Little Debbie, and Ronald McDonald, who always made me feel better and always made my day. So very quickly, I started putting on weight, which physically made me different than all the other kids, which only compounded the issue. And by the time I was 17, I was 360 pounds. I was wearing a size 50-inch waist. I was waking up in the middle of the night with nosebleeds. I couldn't make it up 4 stairs in high school. I didn't have any social relationships. I didn't have a girlfriend. My life was miserable. I didn't even want to get out of bed in the morning.
Wow, that's pretty bad. That really is. So what was the thing that really pushed you over the edge to go the opposite way and to grow and think thin?
Well, I think what it was I came to recognize that I was behaving in a way that was incongruent with who I was, and I think that's really one core message of the book, is that you have to look at yourself. If you want to achieve a healthy lifestyle, you have to look at yourself as really a fit and healthy person and recognize that your behaviors are not your identity, that they don't define you. You may be doing things in your life right now, sitting in your car, eating things you know you shouldn't. That doesn't mean you're a fat person. You're just behaving without discipline. So once I recognized that God had gifted me with a lot of abilities, a lot of talents, and I wasn't behaving in a manner consistent with one who would be able to contribute with those gifts, I got myself consistent. I got myself congruent. I started eating right. I started exercising. In just 2 years, I lost 160 pounds, and I never looked back. I'd never defined myself as being a fat boy or a fat kid. I looked at myself as a fit, healthy person that was carrying around about 160 pounds of fat that I needed to shed. And through God's grace and through an epiphany of a series of health scares, one of which would be I would be sitting in a classroom, in an air-conditioned classroom, and I would break out in a sweat, and drops of sweat would be pouring off of my face. And I won't ever forget, many times, the school nurse would walk by the door and try to call me out of the classroom. But I refused to leave the classroom because I was in denial. I didn't want to know how much I weighed. I didn't want her to take my blood pressure. So when people are looking at my book and looking at that picture that you're referring to there, and they see this fit, healthy guy, they have to know that I've been where they are. This isn't some fit, healthy guy promoting a book that's never known the pain of being stuck in a place he hated. I was there. I get it. And I think people need to recognize that it can feel very, very daunting and very overwhelming to think you have to lose over 100 pounds. But I offer a very, very easy-to-follow, step-by-step guide of what to eat, when to eat, how much to eat, what to do with exercise, and most importantly, how to condition your mind so you can be consistent. Because there's no lack of what to do out there. There's thousands of diet books. There's thousands of exercise programs. But I think what's been missing in everything else that's out there, and what my book brings to the table that's never been done before, is how to think about food in the right way, how to think about exercise in the right way, so that you can learn how to be consistent day in, day out, no matter what comes about in your life.
And this doesn't mean going to Subway every day.
You can go to Subway, sure. A lot of people need convenient, easy, accessible options. And part of the reason many people in America now are struggling with obesity is because our life is so frantic. It's so busy. We all have a BlackBerry. We all have an iPhone. We all are answering emails all day, that people put themselves less of a priority. And because of that, out of the need for convenience, they're eating less than nutritive foods. But I'm here to tell you, it is not that difficult to find healthy options on the road. In fact, many of the clients that I work with are national-level politicians, folks that travel from state to state, from district to district, that they do not have time to go home, make a meal, sit down, and eat for a half hour. They have to grab things on the go. Yeah. So in my book, I offer all sorts of options so that you know what to do. But the most important thing is, once you decide what you're going to do, let's say you want to have Subway every day, that is what you do for 14 days at a time. What my program serves to do is disconnect the emotion from food, and then eventually, after you've achieved your goal and really got yourself to where you want to be, teach you how to reconnect and integrate the variety you want. But throughout the program, you're totally consistent with the set of foods that you choose in the book.
You know, you talk about mind over fat, and then there's a thing here on the bio that says 13 ways to battle the mindset that keeps you fat. Very simply, what is that mindset that keeps you fat?
I think one of it is the identity issue we were referring to earlier, and that is a lot of people define themselves as a fat person, and because they label themselves that way, it's like labeling yourself as an addict, that you're constantly in conflict with yourself because you're saying, well, I'm a fat person, but here you are going to the gym and eating right every day. So if you're a fat person, then how the heck are you behaving this way? You're creating an internal conflict that need not be there. But when you own the identity of a fit person, you say, I'm fit, I'm healthy, I just made some decisions in my life that have really been silly, and that now, where I am, I'm going to make the decision to change. And when you realize that you have the power to change, when you realize that you have the innate ability to change what you're doing every day and thereby change the outcome, it is the most empowering feeling in the world. And I think it's a bit daunting for folks to really take responsibility and say, it's because of what I've been doing that's gotten me to where I am. That's why I'm in this state. That's a big step for a person to take, to really own it. But once they own it, they're then in control. They then can change what they're doing, and only they can change the outcome.
So literally it becomes a mind over matter.
Exactly. It has to be something that's as basic as hygiene. You have to make it so that you don't turn to food for certainty. So many people in today's society, and I was one of them. I'm not a guy that's saying I've been better than this. I used to do this when I was 360 pounds. I grew up in a very chaotic environment. My mom was an alcoholic, and I tried for so long as a young person to control her addiction to alcohol. I would throw away the bottles. I would police the house. I would make sure that she wasn't going to the store and buying these things. Meanwhile, I was neglecting myself. There were no boundaries. And when you recognize that you have to put yourself as a priority, that you cannot change anyone else, the only thing you can do is have a positive influence on people by living the quality of life that you were really meant to live, can you really have the quality of life that you deserve to have?
I got to ask you this question because you did this in 10 years' time. You've gone from that to where you are today as a coach and all the rest of these things. But I noticed that you got people endorsing you, including people from the St. Louis PR director of the World St. Louis champion Cardinal ball team, Senator Claire McCaskill, and President Bill Clinton. How did you get? And the Marcos.
There's a cheeseburger lover right there.
Yeah. Well, okay. How come all the ties to St. Louis here? I'm just curious.
Well, I've really been blessed. I really, it's not. I don't ever say, well, it's because Charles is just so great. I really believe that this is my vocation. It's not only a method that I offer to people, but it's really my mission to try to inspire, motivate, show people how much change is possible in their life. There's so many people walking around every day in a place they hate. There's so many people that don't even love themselves, that they don't accept themselves for who they are. I have children that come in my office that are 14, 15 years old that have actually considered committing suicide because they're so bullied, they feel so ostracized. I have men and women that are in their 30s, 40s, 50s, 60s even, that for a majority of their life, they have not felt good about themselves. So much of my conviction to help change people's lives comes from the personal experience of confronting that dark side of life, that pain, that mortality that if you don't change, you're headed to a really, really dark place. I try to help everyone that I encounter to not be overtaken, not be overcome by their own bad behaviors, to help them see the light. And I was blessed and fortunate to be able to share my story of being an obese teen, an obese kid, a bully kid with President Clinton. He created the Alliance for a Healthier Generation with the American Heart Association back in, I think, 2005 after his heart issue. And as a young person, I always admired the president. He was kind of a role model in so many ways because I saw how much he was doing for the country to promote anti-bullying campaigns. Then, after 2000, when he really got focused on helping with the obesity epidemic, I just had to meet him. And it's almost fortuitous. It's like God stepped in. I set that as a goal. I wanted to share my story with him so badly. So I attended a foundation event. I got to meet him. I told him about the story. My story. I had already written the book. And frankly, there were so many people in there, I don't think that he had much time to really take in what I was saying. But he shook my hand. We got a picture. It was great. Fast forward a couple years, I had coached many of his personal friends. He witnessed their transformations. One of those friends invited me to come meet him because they know how much I admire him, how much I respect him, and what great things he does for our country and the world now, in fact. And I was given an opportunity to go and tell him more about my book, tell him more about my story, and considering how much he really wants to help confront and combat this childhood obesity epidemic that I was once part of, he was generous enough to give that very nice endorsement on the front cover of my book.
That's very
I have a question for you. We're running out of time here this morning, but let me ask you, what about those people that you see that look trim and slim and they eat all the time, they eat whatever they want, they never gain weight, and then you see people that are obese that are on diets constantly and always fighting their weight gain, but nothing seems to happen either way. What about those folks?
I think the folks that you're mentioning that look thin doesn't necessarily mean healthy. You have to understand that just because a person looks slender doesn't mean their body composition is healthy. You want to feed yourself in a way that's going to nourish with good lean proteins, with complex carbs, with fruits and vegetables. And if a person's able to somehow keep their weight low despite a bad diet, I don't think that necessarily means that they're healthy. So you really want to be clear on what a level of health, what health really means to you and the definition of health. When I work with a person, I don't say we're here to lose weight. I say we're here to get you as healthy as possible. And as a byproduct, as a symptom, you will lose all the extra fat that you need to lose. I never have a person come to my office, even if they're 450, 500 pounds, and say, we're just going to shed 300 pounds. I say, we're going to get you as energetic, as focused, as motivated, as consistent, as fulfilled as we possibly can. And as a byproduct, you're going to be dropping fat at a lightning speed pace. And it all results from that third leg of the stool that I talked about, and that is the mindset. Because let's face it, there are thousands of diets out there. There's all sorts of new diet books coming out. I'm not a dietitian. I'm not a nutritionist. I'm not a doctor. While all those people come to see me and ask for my advice on things, that's not what I'm doing. What I help people do is really engage in a healthy relationship with food and exercise so that they can not only reach their goal, but they can learn to maintain it. Because it's great to lose 100 pounds, but if a year later you've gained it all back...
Yeah, it's all for naught at that point.
Well, at that point, it gives you an experience to learn from. And I think that you need to really engage in a program that's going to be able to help keep you consistent, and that's what my book teaches.
And the book is called Think and Grow Thin. Charles D'Angelo, the Weight Loss Coach. You can get it at www.tagtbook.com. Anything else we're missing there, Charles?
You can go to Amazon.com, type in Think and Grow Thin, and don't take my word for it. Scroll down and read all the reviews from the folks that have read the book. And I just want anyone listening that's tried everything out there and feels like this is just another diet book, another exercise thing, to know this is not. This is a system to learn how to really condition your mind, and you're hearing it from a guy that's been there. So don't think that I'm some Mr. Fitness guy that's never experienced the pain that you're going through. You're not alone, and I can help you if you'll let me.
All right, very good. Thank you, Charles. We appreciate your time this morning. Thanks for joining us on the Morning Magazine.
Thank you so much. God bless you all.
Thank you.